Very good evening to everyone. Am I audible to everyone? Thank you, Dr. Srikanth. A warm welcome and very good evening to dear all participants presented in today's session. Few participants are unable to join in last two sessions due to some technical issues. So join today. We will share the recordings of two sessions with the participants. Now, today there is one more session delivered by our respected resource person of the session, Dr. Indranil Saha sir. It's an honor to introduce our distinguished resource person for today's online session. Dr. Saha sir is currently hold the esteemed position of Scientist E at ICMR-Centre for Aging and Mental Health Council for Medical Research in Kolkata. With a career spanning 18 years, his contribution to the field of aging and mental health research are nothing short of remarkable. Dr. Saha sir's expertise encompasses a wide range of activities, including undergraduate and postgraduate teaching, training, and extensive research. He is a co-author of the renowned Essential of Biostatics and Research Methodology, now in its fourth edition, which has been an invaluable resource for researchers and students alike. His scholarly accomplishments extend to over 100 publications in both national and international journals, a testament to his profound impact on the field. Dr. Saha's research acumen is further evidenced by his impressive H index of 22 and I-10 index of 48, underscoring the significance of his work in the scientific community. Such primary areas of expertise lies in the epidemiology and biostatics, making him a leading authority in the critical fields. We are privileged to have Sir with us today again as our resource person, and we look forward to a valuable and insightful session under his guidance. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our respected resource person, Dr. Indranil Saha sir, as we embark on this knowledge sharing journey. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Amit Tiwari ji, and good evening everyone for today's session. So if you have any questions from my last session, so we can discuss this at the end, or else I am starting today's session now. Should I start?
Yes, please, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, audible, sir.
Okay. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes,
am
sir.
I audible?
Yes,
Am I
audible,
audible
sir.
and also visible? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So
Perfect,
now
sir.
today's session, we will cover the data collection methods and data quality. So again, I'm grateful to Institute of Applied Statistics, D.Y. Patil University School of Ayurveda and the Ministry of Ayush for giving me the opportunity to be a resource person in this 2-month certificate course on biostatistics. So whenever we say research design, broadly research design are divided into two types. One is the qualitative research design and another one is the quantitative research design. And nowadays, you might have come across another research design that is known as mixed method design, where both qualitative research and quantitative research both are there. Just a minute. I don't know. Okay. So one is the qualitative research and another one is the quantitative research. In some research, we take both qualitative and quantitative. That is known as the mixed method design. So now first question is, when qualitative approaches are taken, when we are interested to gather an in-depth understanding of attitude, values, concerns or beliefs, motivations and aspirations. So these are the situations when we go for the qualitative approach. So remember, so there is not an quantitative estimation that how much how many of people they are having hypertension, how many of people they are having diabetes. No, but here the concern is to know the people's attitude, to know the people's values, to know the concerns or belief, to know their motivations and aspirations. So basically, when the problems are ill-defined and where it may be more difficult or inappropriate to use more quantitative methods, these are the situation where we go for the qualitative approaches. So qualitative research is basically a narrative one and non-numerical in nature. It is clear from my previous slide because I want to know your concern, I want to know your belief, I want to know your attitude. So these are all narratives. So these are all non-numerical in nature. In contrast, quantitative research where we collect the numerical data, which can be mathematically computed and can be analyzed statistically as well. So how we can get the qualitative research and why? So you see, we get the qualitative research and we do the qualitative research by the following ways. Number one is the focus group discussion. Number two is the in-depth interviews or key informant interviews. Number three is the observations. Number four, field notes, photographs, videos or films, reports or media reports. These are the different methods, these are the different techniques by means of which we undertake the qualitative research. In contrast, what is quantitative research? How we go for the quantitative research? As you all know, this is done by the questionnaire or going some observation checklist or registers or reports or anthropometric measurements or laboratory reports. So these are the different methods of going for the quantitative research. Now, how do we collect the data? So methods of data collection, we write it in our thesis or in our article as a separate heading that is data collection, that is tools and techniques. What is the so data? As I have already told in yesterday's class, so data, it might be primary data or it might be secondary data. So data collection methods, these are basically listed under the heading tools and techniques. So we can either go for the primary data or we can go for the secondary data as well. For primary data, what are the different techniques we employ? to 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 go for the primary data, we go for the different techniques like interview, like focus group discussion, like we can use some questionnaire, we can use Delphi technique. This is one of the technique. We can go for observation, or we can go for the direct physical measurements or use of some standardized states. So these are the different methods by means of which we collect the primary data. As I told you earlier, that primary data is the first-hand data that is collected from the field. So these can be collected by either interview or focus group discussion or using by questionnaire or Delphi technique, observation, direct physical measurement or use of some standardized test. You see, this is one of the picture. One patient has come to a doctor's chamber and doctor is interviewing the patient. So this is one of the interview technique that is most commonly employed in our medical discipline. So what is interview? So interview may be done face-to-face interview as we do in our outpatient department or in our clinic, or it might be go for the telephonic interview, or nowadays you might have noticed in the COVID pandemic time where everything was closed, so many interviews or research was conducted through computer assisted technique as well. So using computer, persons were interviewed. So interview can be done by face-to-face interview, telephone interview, or computer assisted interview. So this interview is the clinician's most important tools. This may be structured interview or it may be unstructured interview. So what is structured interview? In the structured interview, you see, there is a planned list of questions. So we have already prepared the question and we are asking the question one by one. So this is already pre-planned and this is already structured. So since this is structured and previously planned, so it is very much unlikely to deviate. So we cannot deviate it. Now, in contrast, unstructured questionnaire, we do not list the questions one by one. Rather, we list some issues. So these are the issues I will ask in my interview, but these are not listed sequentially. So on the basis of the interaction, I will either put one question first or I will put the next question first in that manner. So on the basis of interaction, different questions will be asked to the participants. So most often this unstructured interview, these are used in exploratory qualitative research. So I told you about the qualitative study and quantitative study just in the beginning. So qualitative study, qualitative research, this unstructured questionnaire is most commonly used. So when attempt is made to raise issues rather than to provide definitive answers. So this is the important thing that you have to remember. I have already discussed that when attempt is made to raise the issues rather than to provide definitive answers. So we are interested to know that attitude, we interested to know the belief, their concerns, how they are feeling. So like these things. So that is unstructured, and based upon the interaction, the question will be put. So different types of unstructured interview. Two types of unstructured interview. These are most commonly used in the qualitative research. One is the in-depth individual interviews, in-depth interview, and second one is the key informant interview. What is in-depth interview? In-depth interview, basically, these are conducted upon the patients or the service users. So the patient, those who are coming to the hospital, or the clients or the beneficiaries, those who are coming to a health center or in your hospital, upon them you will conduct one interview. So less than 100 participants, they usually participate. So this is known as in-depth individual interviews. 1:1 this is conducted. Another 1:1 interview, this is known as key informant interview. What is the meaning of key informant interview? It is nothing but the same of in-depth interview, but the circumstances is different. In-depth individual interviews, these are conducted upon the patients. In contrast, key informant interviews, these are conducted upon the service providers or the policymaker. Is it clear? Suppose in one of the outpatient department, so many patients have come, and you are working as a clinician, and you're doing one qualitative research, right? So you are asking the patients regarding one services. Now, as a researcher, I, I'm going to your clinic. I have asked some of your patients individually 1:1 interview. This is known as in-depth interview. And again, I have interviewed the person who is providing the service. That is the doctors like you, or the service providers, or the policymaker, or the hospital superintendent, or the head of the department. I'm asking some questions. So these questions will become the key informant interviews. Is it clear? So in-depth interview and key informant interviews, these are nothing but the same 1:1 interview. In-depth individual interview, we say when we do it on the patients or the service receivers or beneficiaries, or key informant interviews upon the service providers, those who are providing the service. Is it clear? Another, so interviewer, when doing the interview, this you all know all this thing. This is very important. This is both applicable in case of qualitative research as well as quantitative research as well. Interviewer should adopt a neutral stance towards the interviewee and their responses in order that bias is not introduced. So when you are doing the research as an interviewer, you should adopt neutral stance. You should not show any type of bias. If you show, oh, okay, you are doing this thing, this is wrong, then they might give some unbiased response. So this is the thing that you have to keep in your mind. So you have to do the practice under supervision under your seniors, especially with videotape reviews of the interview. So this is your duty to make it very neutral so that you can get the correct information from the participants or from the patients. You see, this is another interview that is going on. This is unlike in-depth interview where 1:1 interview is conducted, or unlike key informant interview where 1:1 interview is conducted. Here, a group of subjects, participants are there, and they are seated in a circular manner, you see. And one lady, she is interviewing, and another person is standing beside her, and he will write if there is anything new or like this thing. And all the participants, you see, they are seated face to face. This is a classical example of focus group discussion. So what is focus group discussion? This is, again, I've told you, this is for the qualitative research. So in-depth information on concepts, perceptions, or ideas. So I want to know regarding the antibiotic usage pattern among some clinicians. So I can sit all the clinicians. I've taken them. So how many clinicians I can take in a focus group discussion? You remember, please remember. So group discussion. So approximately 6 to 12 people will be there. It should not be less than 6, and it should not be more than 12%. So that they are freely and spontaneously discussed. As a interviewer, I will ask one question and everybody will be asked to respond their queries. And please remember, these will be all audio taped or preferably video audio taped. So you have to take the consent that I will ask some questions to all of you, and with your permission, can I record all your narratives? Because these narratives you have to record it, and then at the end of the day you have to transcript it, and from there you have to do the analysis. What are the basic things that have come across from this qualitative research? That is most important. So focus group discussion, freely and spontaneous discussion, and it is guided by a facilitator. And what tool I used, I have already told you that structured questionnaire, these are mostly used in case of quantitative research, but here I have told you unstructured questionnaire. So this is known as FGD guide or FGD theme. Similarly, we can use IDI theme for IDI interview, or key informant interview, we can use KII theme. So this is a classical example of the FGD theme. We did one qualitative research regarding antibiotic usage pattern among the doctors, those who are working in the remote areas of tea gardens. So you see, these are the themes in your regular practice. Can you name some common infections for which you prescribe antibiotics? You see, this that I asked one question, and all the respondents they answered. And again, some respondents they talked in between them also. Then I asked next question, what are the most commonly used antibiotics? Next, name some antibiotics which are rarely used. You see, how you decide that a person is suffering from some infection that needs to be treated with antibiotic or not, right? So these are the things. This is known as FGD theme or FGD guide. Similarly, for IDI guide and the KII guide, that has to be prepared. And when doing the focus group interview, you should remember that the group should be homogeneous. Those who are sitting, I've told you 6 to 12 people, those who will sit together. So please remember, these 6 to 12 people, they should be homogeneous. Like means they should be either all male or all female, or all from upper socioeconomic class or all from lower socioeconomic class. But if you mix, if you have taken some participants from higher socioeconomic status and also from the lower socioeconomic status, then some people belonging from lower socioeconomic status, they might not speak up. They might not speak up their issues, so you will not get the intended responses that you need to do. So please remember, the group should be homogeneous. Suppose you are asking some contraceptive practice among the women, so please remember, all the women should be there. No men will be included in that focus group. Again, all the women, they will be of the same age groups, so that have you got my point? So the group should be homogeneous. So similar in terms of social class, age, level of knowledge. This is very important. Suppose some women, you have taken those who are postgraduate, those who are, some of them are doctors, some of them are engineers, and some of the female participants, they are only class 10 plus or class 12 plus. So those who are having lower education, they might not speak up, isn't it? So you will not get the responses. So this is very important. The group should be homogeneous. Next, participant selection on the basis of some shared characteristics of experience relevant to the research topic. So according to your research topic, you have to select upon whom you will ask those questions, upon whom you will do the focus group discussion. Am I clear? So this is that you have to remember, the discussion is planned to obtain information on participants' beliefs and perceptions on a defined areas of interest with open-ended questions. I, s- I already showed you this one. Now, this is all, you see, these are all open-ended. No clues are given. I'm asking open question, and whatever they are responding. So audio, we are taking the audio, and then at the end of the day, we will transcribe the audio, and then the analysis will be done. So please remember, the discussion is planned and with an open-ended questions. So now the qualitative part is over. So we have discussed about the focus group discussion. We have discussed about the in-depth interview. We have discussed about the key informant interview. Next is the very important part is the questionnaire. Mostly this questionnaire is used in case of quantitative research. Those who have doing some research or have done doing your thesis or dissertation, you might have noticed that you have prepared one questionnaire. So this is the questionnaire. So how do we construct the questionnaire? Please remember, it should be well designed to get a valid and reliable response. Construction of questionnaire is very important, and it is not a very difficult job, but you have to be very cautious so that when asking the questionnaire, when you are noting down the responses, you should get the valid and reliable response. I will come the later on what is the meaning of validity and what is the meaning of reliability as well. What are the different steps? You see, at first you have to see your research topic. What is your aim? So definition of the area and variables to be measured. Like for example, say for example, I'm interested to do one study on hypertension or high blood pressure. So definition of the areas, when I will call the patient as hypertensive, systolic blood pressure 140 or more, and or diastolic blood pressure 90 or more. So I have to define the area. Again, what are the different variables to be measured? Now you have to look the literature. Blood pressure, blood pressure. Okay, so you have to go to the literature. Blood pressure is dependent upon which variables? Say for example, from the literature, you have come across that blood pressure is dependent upon age, blood pressure is dependent upon lifestyle, blood pressure is dependent upon your dietary practices, blood pressure is dependent upon weight, your sedentary physical activities like this thing. So according to the literature, you have to select the variables. So what variables you should measure in your research, that has to be written. Is this clear? So please remember aims, definition of the area, that is the high blood pressure or the hypertension, and the variables to be measured, that is based upon the literature review. What literature is telling, what present literature is telling, and according to them, you have to select the different variables. The variables means different things that you want to measure in the Suchita. You have asked one question. Please remember, I will try to answer at the end. So after taking all these issues, you have to draft the questionnaire. So one draft questionnaire should be made, and then it should be shown to your guide or supervisor. Then you have to say for example, your supervisor has told, okay, you can go for it. Then you have to run the questionnaire. This is known as pilot testing or pre-testing. So what is the meaning of that? You have prepared one draft questionnaire, and you are using that questionnaire upon small number of subjects. Say for example, 10 participants or 20 participants, like this thing. And from there you are getting that whether you are getting the responses that you are thinking that you will get. Say for example, one question you are getting uniform responses from the participants, and from some questions you are not getting uniform answers. So one question you have seen different participants have responded differently. So what does it mean? It means that the framing of that particular question is not so good. So it needs some reframing or it needs to be changed. So that is the utility of pre-testing. This is also known as the pilot study. Pre-testing is basically is one of the component of the pilot study. In pilot study, we see so many things. Logistics, we also see whether it is feasible or not. But in pre-testing means we only use the draft questionnaire, and we use upon some small number of participants to see whether I am getting the correct responses or not. So if I see that I'm getting different varied responses from one particular question, so I will identify that question, and it is my duty, it is your duty to identify the ambiguity, and you have to reframe the question or edit the question accordingly. So this is one of the important step. So this is known as the pre-testing. I've told you, rehearsal with the questionnaire. So please remember, rehearsal with the questionnaire. This is known as the pre-testing. What is the purpose of pre-testing? I've told you, to remove any ambiguity in the questionnaire. So if there is any doubt or lack of clarification in one question, that you can detect it from the pre-testing, and accordingly you have to either delete it or you have to reframe it or you have to edit the questionnaire accordingly. So redrafting on the basis of feedback, if required, you might go for the second pre-testing as well. So that is based upon how you are getting the questions, how you are getting the responses from the participants. So then after you have finalized the questionnaire, then you can go for the administration of final questionnaire. Clear? So questionnaire administration, you see, it may be self-administered questionnaire or it may be interviewer administered questionnaire. What is self-administered questionnaire? As a researcher, you are giving questions to the participants. Participants will go through the question and participant will fill up the answers and they will give it to you. This is self-administered questionnaire. What is interviewer administered questionnaire? As an interviewer, you are asking one question to participant: what is your age? So you are writing it down. Where do you live? Rural areas. What is your dietary pattern? So you are writing. So these are known as interviewer administered questionnaire. And when the participants themselves they fill it up, this is known as self-administered questionnaire. Again, you see there are some limitations of self-administered questionnaire because you cannot give it to some illiterate persons. Again, there might be incompleteness of the questionnaire, isn't it? So some questions he or she did not understand and he didn't fill it up. So this is some, so completeness might be absent in such. So we will discuss this later on. So self-administered questionnaire, what are the benefits of self-administered questionnaire? You are giving the questionnaire to the participants and they are themselves are filling it up. So cheap to administer, less susceptibility to interviewer bias. Say for example, as an interviewer, I might be biased. But you see, when you are administering it to the giving it to the patient and they are filling it up, this is known as the self-administered. So they are less susceptible to interviewer bias. So they can answer on their own, whatever they are thinking. So can be administered by email, can be administered by WhatsApp, can be administered by other social media as well. Many of us have seen this type of usage of questionnaire during the COVID-19 pandemic time. Next is what are the disadvantages of self-administered questionnaire? Higher rejection rate. Your duty, you have transmitted the questionnaire to the participants, but around 10% participants they have responded. So higher rejection rate. Difficult to elicit detailed responses. Suppose you want to, you have asked some open questions in that questionnaires, but since it will take some time and most of the participants they did not give detailed response. Instead, they have mentioned just very one or two statement like this thing. Third, less control over filling up response. So this is another thing. So these are the different disadvantages of the self-administered questionnaire. Again, most dangerous is this incomplete or badly filled responses. So some questions the participants did not understand and they have skipped that question or they have simply filled it up the questions. Since suppose in online questionnaire you have made it asterisk, so it needs to be filled up. So anything they have written, but it is not carrying the meaning. Is it clear? So these are the different disadvantages of self-administered questionnaire. What are the benefits of interviewer administered questionnaire? I think this is all known to all of you. Lower rejection rate because you are asking in front of the patient, in front of the beneficiaries. More detailed response can be elicited. Greater control over filling of response form. So since you are asking, you are in a position to ask, please tell me why are you not doing this thing? What is your opinion? So you have the control over filling of the response form. These are the benefits. That were basically the disadvantages of the self-administered questionnaire. And what were the disadvantages of interviewer administered questionnaire? Expensive to administer, more susceptible to interviewer bias, and it is more time consuming. So these are some limitations of the interviewer administered questionnaire. Now question format. Question format, it may be open-ended question or it may be close-ended question. Open-ended question means no predetermined response schedule is given. So I've given you one question and it is up to you how you will answer. I did not give you any choice. This is known as open-ended questionnaire. What is close-ended questionnaire? When I have given some options. So predetermined list of response options are given to you. And you have to tick it from the given responses. This is known as the close-ended question format. Say, for example, I'm asking one question to the participants. Why do you smoke? If I did not give any response, this is known as the open-ended. So anybody, anything can write, whatever he or she thinks suitable for him or her. But if I give some responses, you see, then it is become the close-ended. So the end is closed. Clear? So please remember, so this is the thing. If you do not give any responses, this is open-ended. And if you give some responses, this becomes a close-ended questionnaire. So what are the advantages of the open-ended questionnaire? Detailed answer can be, you can get detailed answer. Whatever the participant is thinking, he or she has written everything. So you are getting much detailed responses from him or her. But what are the limitations? Since so many things are mentioned in details, it might be less structured, it might be difficult to encode, and it might be difficult to analyze as well. So please remember, this is very important. So these are the limitations of the open-ended questionnaire. But what are the benefits of close-ended questionnaire? The benefit is, since it is tightly structured, I've given the options, so it is easily encoded. And the disadvantage is less depth of answer, and sometimes it might be frustrating as well. Participant is getting so many questions, and here he's also getting simultaneously, he's also getting the responses, and he has to stick from the given choices, just like MCQ. So he or she might think that I have to tell some more, but these options or choices are not there. So these are the limitations of the close-ended questionnaire. So closed response questions, it might be mutually exclusive. What does it mean, mutually exclusive? It means that when one answer is there, so it mutually excludes the other answer. So if I have a coin, if I go for head and tail, if head is the answer, so it will obviously remove the possibility of tail. So this is known as the mutually exclusive. So have you taken the vaccine? So answer will be yes or no. These are known as the mutually exclusive. It may be dichotomous or it may be MCQs as well. I'm telling you, out of the 4 scales in biostatistics, which scale does not have any ordering? This is also mutually exclusive. You see, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Whenever the answer is nominal scale, so it is automatically excludes that the possibility of ordinal, interval, or ratio. Similarly, rating scales are there. And similarly, we can go for ranking as well. I've given you three pens. One is the red color pen, green color pen, yellow color pen. I'm asking you, according to your choices, you rank the pen. So somebody loves the color red, so red, green, yellow. Somebody yellow, green, red, like this thing. This is known as a ranking. So these are some example of the close response questions. Again, we will discuss about the attitude measuring scales. I've told you regarding measuring of attitude. So we have some scales regarding measurings of the attitude. One of the scale is the Likert scale, and another one scale is the 4-point forced choice format. These are the 2 scales that are most commonly used to measure the attitude of a pupil. What is the Likert scale? You see, this is my question. Do you agree that all lecture classes should be accompanied with PowerPoint presentation? So this is my question. And Likert scale, I've given some choices: strongly disagree, disagree, undecided, agree, and strongly agree. So I have given 5 response choices. So this is known as 5-point Likert scale since I have given 5 choices. Again, I might give responses like this thing, choice like this thing: disagree, undecided, agree. So it will become the 3-point Likert scale. Previous one is the 5-point Likert scale because 5 choices was there: strongly disagree, disagree, undecided, agree, strongly agree. And this one is the 3-point Likert scale: disagree, undecided, and agree. Suppose in one of the pilot testing, I'm asking this question to my students and I'm getting the responses that most of the students, they are not going any agree or disagree. They are going in a neutral stance. They are telling, yes, I'm undecided. Say, for example, you see in the pilot study or pre-testing, then what can you do? You have seen that most of the students, they are taking neutral stance and they are not telling either agree or disagree. So in this situation, what you can do, you can omit the middlemost choice. So the people will not become neutral anymore. So they will go for either agree or strongly disagree or disagree. This scale is known as 4-point forced choice format. Why it is 4-point forced choice format? Because I'm forcing the individuals to take some decisions: disagree, disagree, agree, strongly agree. So I have removed the neutral one, that is the undecided. So I'm forcing the participants to go for either agree, strongly agree, or disagree, or strongly disagree. So this is known as the 4-point forced choice scale. Again, there are some online questionnaires are there. Ease of accessing the population through online approaches. Huge amount of data can be collected efficiently. You might have noticed during the COVID-19 pandemic time. Again, some questionnaire is the validated questionnaire. The validated questionnaire means whenever we are using some questionnaire, our intention to know the dependent variable, and at the end, we are also interested to know the association or correlation of dependent variable with the different independent variables. So if the questionnaire that I have taken, if it is not valid or it is not reliable, then it will not give intended responses. You will not get the correct answers. So in those situations, some questionnaires are there. These are known as validated questionnaire. What does it mean? It means that the questionnaire has been developed by some group or by someone, and it has been applied in different settings on different populations, and everywhere the responses were getting same or similar. So in that way, the questionnaire has been validated. Right. So this is known as a validated questionnaire. I'm giving you some. So in the beauty in the validated questionnaire is this thing: reliability and validity, the two important components of the questionnaire. Both is retained in the validated questionnaire. So you must have heard about the audit scale, 10-item alcohol use disorder identification test, or the SF36 short form health survey test. So these are some of the examples of the validated questionnaire. Am I clear to all of you? Next, another important type of data collection is the Delphi technique. So Delphi technique is this thing. Suppose I have gathered some uh, some subject experts, and they are sitting in different position. Say, for example, one subject expert is sitting in the north zone, one subject expert is sitting in the south zone, one subject expert is the east zone or the central India zone, like this thing. And as a researcher, I have developed one question, and I have circulated all my questionnaire to all the subject experts. And separately, they will give their feedback to me. And again, I will refine my questionnaire. So this is the known as the Delphi technique. The important thing is this: opinion of experts on a particular research is taken. aim is to bring about consensus on a given issues, series of questionnaire rounds without physically assembling the experts that can be given. That is the beauty. You see, so many subject experts, some of them, they might be they're situated in the USA or UK, outside the country. But you see, since you have the email, you have the WhatsApp, you are sharing the questionnaire to the different subject experts of the different parts of the world, and you are getting the response. And accordingly, you are getting some consensus, and you are finalizing the questionnaire. Again, in the second round, you can again send the questionnaire back to them. Again, you get the responses, and accordingly, you define the questionnaire. So in that way, you get the technique. So this is known as the Delphi technique. Next, you see, this is a classical example. You see one researcher, he is observing all the participants. So this is known as an observation method. This is also one of the important method of data collection. So observation method, instead of asking about injection safety practices, one may himself look on the spot. Say, for example, you have noticed that so many patients you are getting from your hospital ward, that they are suffering from injection site infection. So you are thinking that whenever the nursing personnel, they are giving the injections, they might not adhering the proper protocol or the guideline. So injection safety practices, they are not maintaining. But if you want to elicit it from them by asking this question, do you adhere this thing? So you will all get good answer. Yes, sir, I do this thing. I clean the skin, and then I do not touch the needle with my this thing, and then I push it, then I take it. So everything will be perfect, picture perfect, if you ask them. So instead of asking about injection safety practices, one may himself look on the spot, and then even one can decide whether the injection safety practices are being maintained or not. What are the advantages? Subjective bias is eliminated. You can have a glimpse what is currently happening, what is currently going on. And again, third important point, it is independent of respondents' willingness to respond. Say, for example, some people, they might not agree, they might not give consent for the interview. So there also you are just observing. But again, there are three types of observation method. One is the participant observation or non-participant observation. Say, for example, I am interested to see the injection safety practice in one of the ward. I'm going in the ward, and I'm just looking whenever one injection is given, whether it is correctly given or not. Do you think it is a good one? Then the nursing personnel, they will become active, and they will become, okay, somebody is watching me, so I have to give it very properly. So in that way, this is known as non-participant. But if you go in participant way, so you are also doing some work, but your primary intention is to see whether injection safety practices is being correctly practiced or not. So this is known as the participant information, participant observation. Is this clear? So suppose, so you are showing to the nursing personnel that you are also, you have also come in the ward with some other intention, but your intention, you are seeing that how many nursing personnel, they are giving the injection correctly. So participant or non-participant. So it may be structured observation, or it may be unstructured observation, based upon your themes or based upon your questions, what you will put. Or it may be controlled observation, or it may be uncontrolled observation. Controlled observation means in a very controlled situation, like in ward or hospital setting or OPD setting. This is controlled. What is uncontrolled setting? Say, for example, uncontrolled setting means outside hospital setting. Say, for example, I'm doing one research that some cigarette shops are there that was situated far away from a college, and I want to see how many college students, they are buying cigarettes from the shop. So this is some uncontrolled situation. Have you understood? So this is beyond my control, beyond my healthcare setting or hospital. So these are known as the uncontrolled observation. Next, anthropometric measurement and clinical examination. We can take weight, we can take height, we can take lung function test by pulmonary function test. So in those situations, we have to use the standardized instruments. That is, sometimes mercury sphygmomanometer is preferred over dial sphygmomanometer. Again, most important thing is this: whenever you are measuring weight, you are measuring height, or you are measuring something, any anthropological or any some measurements, please remember, use standardized instruments. And second important point, please adhere the standard operative procedure. Say for example, you want to measure the blood pressure. So you whenever you are taking the blood pressure measurement, you take the measurement from the supine position from the right arm. Somebody is taking measurement in a sitting position. Somebody is taking measurement when a person is standing. So this is not the correct one. So please remember, whenever you are using some instruments like some measurements, please use standardized instrument and please use standard operative procedure uniformly, so that you will get the correct responses from the participants. And again, another important thing, whenever you will judge, that is whether the cutoff is good or not, you have to go for the standard cutoff. Say for example, if you want to assess the adolescent hypertension, there are some dilemma regarding diastolic blood pressure of adolescent hypertension. Somebody prefers Korotkov sound 4 and somebody prefers like adult Korotkov sound 5. So please remember, this is very important. So standard cutoff that is to be used uniformly. Again, during taking measurements, two types of variation might happen. One is known as intra-observer variation. Intra-observer means I am taking your blood pressure measurement thrice. I have taken your blood pressure measurements 3 times. And in 3 times, I have got 3 different results. So this is known as intra-observer variation. What is the solution? In those situations, it is said that you can go for a average value or you can go for a mean value, provided you have used standard instruments, provided you have used the standard operative procedure, and you have used the correct standard guideline. So intra-observer variation that can be minimized by taking the mean or the average. And another variation that might come, this is known as inter-observer variation. Say for example, myself and one of my friends, both of them are taking the data. I am also measuring some of the participants' blood pressure. My friend is also measuring some of them blood pressures. So blood pressure, again, one patient, I have measured the blood pressure, and my friend has also measured the blood pressure of the same person, and and two of us have got the 2 different results. This is known as the inter-observer variation. So how to minimize this thing? Again, the answer is same. You have to answer the standard instruments. You have to go for the standard operative procedure and standard cutoff you have to use. Please remember, inter-observer variation, in this situation, we should not go for the mean value. Intra-observer variation that can be minimized by the mean values, but inter-observer variation that cannot be minimized by the mean values. Mean values you should not do. Rather, you should go for using this thing, what I've already told you: instruments, standard operative procedure, and standard cutoff. Regarding use of standardized test, whenever you are doing some biochemical parameters like hemoglobin values, urine culture, or this thing, so approved standardized kit to be employed. So please remember this one. So the kit you are using, it should be standardized. Again, quality control of the instrument, quality control of the kits, you have to keep it in your minds. Now, these are all about the collection of the primary data. Next is the collection of the secondary data. What is collection of secondary data? I have told you it has been collected by someone else and I am taking those data for my analysis. So various publication of central, state and local governments. This is the secondary data. I told you the census data is the primary data. So we can get the census data from the central level. And if we do the analysis, it will become a secondary data to me. Public records and statistics like NFHS 5 data, NFHS 4 data. Research publications is in the journal. Different register like admission register, discharge register, laboratory register in your hospital or in your clinic, in your health center. So these are the different sources of the secondary data. What are the advantages of secondary data? It is very clear. We have already discussed that easy to collect data within short period of time, less expensive method. And what are the disadvantages? Many records might be missing, incomplete or not properly written. So you will lose some information. Again, issues of authenticity of data and the copyright issues are also there. So these are the different limitations of the secondary data. Now at the end, we have come. This is the master chart preparation and data quality. Now data quality, what is the meaning of data quality? Data quality is the capability of data to be used effectively, economically, and rapidly to inform and evaluate decisions. So this is the meaning of data quality. So that whether it is capable effectively, economically, or rapidly, so that from that data, after taking analysis, I told you that data statistical processing, it goes for the information, and then it goes for the intelligence. So data, information, and intelligence. Intelligence is for the decision maker or policy maker. Unless my data quality is good, so decision making will be hampered. So please remember, so this is the importance of data quality. So whenever we talk about data quality, so many things are talked, but these are the most important thing that you should keep in your mind. One is the completeness of the data, accuracy of the data, consistency of the data, and timeliness of the data. So these are the important attributes of data quality. I will come one by one. So there are some terms like duplicate data. So some duplication is there. Inaccurate data means the wrong information is there. So information is not correct. Ambiguous data means data is there, but this is not, it is wrong, but at the same time it is misleading something. So this is known as ambiguous data. And again, one data is known as the inconsistent data. That is, it is not matching with the other values. Say, for example, you have taken weight and you have also taken the body mass index. From the body mass index, it seems to be a obese person, but from the weight, you see, this is not overweight or like this thing. So this is known as inconsistent data. So if there is some mismatch, clear. So what is completeness? I have already told you. Completeness measures if the data is sufficient to deliver meaningful interference and decisions. I've told you, if the questionnaire is interviewer administered, then chance of completeness is more. Had it been self-administered questionnaire, the chance of completeness is less. So this is the thing that you have to keep in your mind. Second point is the accuracy. Accuracy means level of correctness. How much correct the data is. See, in our clinical practice, if we get some wrong blood report, suppose blood sugar report is wrong, blood cholesterol report is wrong, blood hemoglobin report is wrong, then we will fail in treating good treatment to the patients. Say, for example, blood sugar is blood hemoglobin is suppose 7. So in those, the patient who is having blood hemoglobin 7, he or she needs urgent blood transfusion. Had it been 10, you can cover it by the oral iron supplementations. So these are the different things that you have to keep in your mind. The errors arise from different sources. It arises from the sampling, it arises from the frame coverage, it arises from measurement error, non-response rate, data processing, and model assumptions. So these are the different sources I've already told you from where the level of correctness might be wrong. So training of the personnel, those who are collecting the data, level of instrument, the machine, those who are taking with the measurements, and you have to maintain the standard operative procedure. I'm telling it again and again, and also the uniform cutoff values. So these are the things, if you adhere all these things, then you will be able to maintain the accuracy of data. What is consistency? Consistency means reliability. Say, for example, I am measuring your blood pressure by one of the instrument, and it has given result as 140 by 90. So you are not satisfied. You are telling me, sir, you measured my blood pressure again after 5 minutes. Again after 5 minutes, I have measured your blood pressure. Now it is showing 120 by 80. So similar situations, similar circumstances, in two different times, in a gap of 5 or 10 minutes, it is giving huge differences. So you can say my machine is not reliable. So my machine is not consistent. So in that way, the instrument or questionnaire, it need to be very much robust. So that is why nowadays there is more, we go for the validated questionnaire. The questionnaire which has been already validated, if we use this questionnaire, then our credibility will be more. Data credibility will be more. Data quality will be good. So if data are reported in multiple ways, or if interacting databases use different definitions, then the utility of data is reduced. Am I clear? So this is the thing that you have to remember. This is the meaning of consistency, also known as the reliability, means similar circumstances. If I use similar instrument, I will get similar type of responses. Anjali, I will come to your question later on. So next is the timeliness, that is the sensitive with the time. So it has to be upgraded gradually. You see, this is one of the SPSS dataset. I think it will be discussed to you details by some other faculty members. You see, I have written age, residence. You see, I have written age as 45 is a number, residence as a word, rural, urban. Education, you see primary, illiterate, secondary. Marital status, you see married, unmarried, like this thing. BMI, SBP, DPP, hypertension. This is one of the hypothetical data set. Now you see the thing. This is basically the data view. You see data views there. Whenever you click this one, this is known as a variable view. You see variable view is now highlighted, and you see the things. You see age that was written in number, it is written as numeric, and the thing that was not written as a number, that was written as string. You see string, 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 residence string, education string, marital status string. Why? Because you see I have written rural, urban, I have written primary, secondary, illiterate, I have written married, unmarried. So this value will come as this will show as a string, and all the things I have written, you see, as numbers, numericals. So that is why it is showing as type of data is the numeric data, and this is string data. Whenever the data is string, you see the decimal point is there, one decimal. You see BMI, I have written as one decimal point. Where it is, you see 23.4, 24.6, 24.0, 23.4. So I can do it two decimal point. That is based upon your justification or your wishes. Next is very important thing is the values. Whenever there will be string values now, you have to code it as a numeric. You have to write string one is the rural, two is the urban. Education, 0 is illiterate, 1 is primary, 2 is secondary, 3 is graduate, like this thing. So these values is to be written here. Hypertension, you see, I wrote it as 0 and 1. I have written 0, 0 means normal tension, normal blood pressure, and 1 means hypertension, that is high blood pressure. There is no missing value. Now you see the last part is the scale. Which scale? If you remember my previous session, you will see the nominal scale, nominal scale, nominal scale. But you see age is in a ratio scale. BMI is a ratio. SBP, DBP is a ratio. Again, the hypertension category, that is yes or absent, no, 0 or 1. Again, it is a nominal one. So this is all for today's session. Thank you all for your patience hearing. Now I'll be happy to answer any queries. Over to Amit ji. Amit sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Very valuable and insightful session. Now I request to participant, please ask your query. Simply raise your hand. There are a few queries in the chat box already. I'm just Yes, Dr. Sarayu, I sent you the unmute request. Please unmute yourself.
Sir,
Okay.
yeah, in questionnaire, when there are some questions are open-ended and some questionnaires are close-ended, then how we have to analyze the data that time? Can we have such type of questionnaire? Is it okay to have that type of questionnaire? Because as we say in a mixed design, qualitative plus quantitative, we might have such type of mixed data. So how to go ahead in such situations?
Very good question, madam. So you have a very good question. So you see, I'm talking about first quantitative research. In quantitative research, you have put some open-ended question and close-ended question.
Yes.
Now, some open-ended question, you can club it together for your analysis. For example, did you take COVID-19 vaccine? No. Why? That was fear was there. I was not so confident enough. My peers did not tell me. My family told me. So some of the responses you can club it as the fear of taking vaccination. I might die if I take the vaccine. So this is for the quantitative research. So some open-ended question, your intention is to get so many different responses. So during analysis, you should club some of the responses during the analysis. So that is your duty in the quantitative. But your second question is much more interesting, that you have said you are doing some mixed method research. In those situations, qualitative data will be analyzed separately, quantitative data will be analyzed separately. Lastly, very important thing is the data triangulation. Triangulation means you have to now correlate with the quantitative data with the qualitative data. You have to see. You see, many of the respondents, you are telling 80% of the respondents did not take COVID-19 vaccine. For reason you are telling, yes, these are the analysis of qualitative data. Fear of taking vaccine, fear of dying, not confident of taking vaccine, like this thing. So this is known as the data triangulation. You have to do analysis separately for quantitative, separately for qualitative. At last, you have to triangulate the data just to show the mixed method research. Am I clear, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chinmoyi has written yes or no. These are close-ended question. Yes, these are dichotomous close-ended question. Niranjan has written that insight on statistically analyze the responses of open-ended question. You see, when you are getting open-ended question, just I now told to Madam, Dr. Kore Madam, I told you, you might have noticed that you have to club the responses, club the close responses into a single one. And then you have to say, yes, this is the most responses. Say, for example, you are getting so many responses why people are not taking COVID-19 vaccine. And you have clubbed them in a broad sense. Fear, not confident of taking vaccine. I don't think COVID is now it is gone. It has become now endemic. So in that way, whatever different questions you have got, you have to club it, and accordingly you have to answer the question. Am I clear? So this is how you have to go for the open-ended question. Next, Anjali has written, is 4-point scale or other scale selection is changes for each question of the questionnaire. Example, frequency of sleep, frequency of nutrition. Yes, that depends upon your responses. How you are getting the responses. If you are getting too many responses undecided, then you can go for the 4-point scale for each question or every question, or for some question as well. Suchita has written, is there any standard format for question is available? I'm telling you, some validated question is already there. Audit questionnaire, BREEAM questionnaire, SF36 questionnaire, QOL questionnaire, quality of life questionnaire. These are all validated questionnaire by some big authorities. So you can use this thing. So I think I have answered all the questions. So Niranjan has written, please highlight on steps of question validation if time permits. Question validation, I'm telling you, this is a very big thing. Suppose you have developed one questionnaire. You can develop the questionnaire by talking to your seniors or some Delphi technique as well. And at the end, when the questionnaire is finalized, you have to go 2 types of analysis. This is known as validity analysis. And next one is the reliability analysis. Validity analysis, you see some pretest analysis by Cronbach's alpha. So these are the Cronbach's alpha is for reliability and Cohen's kappa is for validity. So many different terms are there. So these are basically done whether to see whether a questionnaire is valid or not.
Dr. Suvarna, for SPSS, we have more sessions. Please have patience. On Monday onwards, we move on Excel. So it will be covered in next sessions.
Yes, so I have written two statistical analysis. So many things are there. Test, retest, Cohen's kappa, Cronbach's alpha, right? I do not remember the other name just now. So so many things are there. So it can be, I think it will be covered in the subsequent sessions. Amitji.
Yes, is there any more query? You can just simply mail us. We can revert your query either using mail or simply by message. You can mail us or message us your queries. I will revert your all queries. And tomorrow there is no session. On Monday we move on the fundamental of Excel. And thank you, sir, very much for a very insightful and valuable session. I hope all participants get a foundation.
Last minute, another question has come. Difference between validity and reliability. I have told you already. Validity means correctness of the question, whether the instrument is giving you the correct response, and reliability means if you repeat the questionnaire, whether you are getting similar responses or not. Reliability also known as consistency. Some cricketer is very consistent. They are consistently doing good runs, so they are known as reliable run, right? And validity means whether you are getting responses or not. This is known as the validity. So there is minor differences between validity and reliability. So over to Tiwari, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for a wonderful session and a great discussion with the participants. And with us, Dr. Mridul Chitkar, ma'am, the coordinator of the program, is with us. Thank you, ma'am, for coordinating the program with us. And as earlier said, that few participants are unable to join the session. So you can contact us tomorrow between 12 to 4 p.m. I will access your system. Provide me any desk number. I will configure if you found any difficulty on your PC. And simply just install the WebEx apps either on the PC or mobile. You can simply click on the link given by me and you will redirect to the app automatically. If found any difficulty, you can contact us. And the recorded session will be shared as usual. The PDF notes will be shared soon in the group with all participants. And thank you very much, sir, for your guidance and time. And we met again, sir, in this series of sessions in inferential statistics will be covered by sir again. And now moving towards the next session from Monday with Excel. Thank you very much, sir, for your guidance, your time here. And thank you very much, sir. This is the end of today's session.
Thank you, Tiwari ji, and thank you all the participants. Good night. Bye bye.